You were in Canada on TV, right?
Oh, yes.
Hello, welcome to a new episode of Digital Nomad Talks. Today I have the beautiful
Kait Rich.
Okay, so you were in Canada on TV, right?
Oh, yes.
So for everyone who's like, oh my god, I know that girl. She's super famous.
Yes, such a C class. Or maybe it's more like an F class celebrity, but
I love it. She actually just told me this. And okay, so she was on The Bachelor TV show.
Blackmailing me already, and we're only 1 minute into this.
This is great. It's going to be a fantastic episode. Welcome for everyone who's tuning in right now. My name is Nienke Nina. I'm the founder of DigitalNomadsDaily.com. And every week I take you on the journey of the digital nomad. We're just going to give you true stories from real nomads about how they deal with their nomadic challenges. And today we're going to speak about a topic that I'm super excited about. It's about time zones. So how can you actually manage your time zones when you're dealing with clients in different time zones, when you're dealing maybe with a remote team in different time zones? Let's talk about. Okay, let's start the show.
I'm a coach, actually. I'm a coach for entrepreneurs, and I work primarily with people who are either already remote entrepreneurs or want to become remote. So they're people who want to have more time freedom, more financial freedom, more physical location freedom, so that they can then make impact doing things that they love and basically having a fun fucking time with people that they want to work with and do cool stuff with, ultimately.
You're doing this online, right?
Yeah, so I do a combination of online programs and also in-person retreats.
Okay, cool.
Because I think it's super important to connect with people in real life, especially for digital nomads. You know, people spend so much time getting to be remote that they don't really plan what's going to happen once they are. And then oftentimes they actually feel really lonely and they realize that they don't have a deep sense of community. So I think it's really important for my clients to also meet each other in real life and connect person to person as well.
The billion-dollar question, how do you make money?
How do I make money? So I make money by people attending my events and also people taking my online programs.
Okay.
Yeah, so my background is in psychology, coaching psychology, interpersonal communications, and so I work with people in creating the systems, structures, and habits so that they can not only get their life on the road and have a good time, but also maintain life on the road.
Yeah.
When people think like, oh, I want to sit on my laptop at the beach in Bali and work, they don't actually realize all of the things that happen behind the scenes of all these great Instagram photos.
Yeah. That's very true.
I think the most important place to start is actually with yourself. So it's really, really easy when you're working in different time zones, especially if you're new to it. Like, let's say you're not an entrepreneur. Let's say that you work remotely, you have a team back in the office, or maybe you are an entrepreneur, but you really don't want to inconvenience everybody else.
Yeah.
It's really, really easy to start planning your entire life and your entire schedule around when other people are awake, which then has you up super, super, super early in the morning, getting up at 2 a.m. for a meeting. And while that's totally sometimes something that you have to do, it's important to start with taking a look at what does my ideal day as a digital nomad actually look like? Like, you started this life for a reason, which was to enjoy it. And not to be tired all the time and not to be doing weird stuff at weird times of the day. In order to have freedom, you have to have structure.
Yeah.
Like, how do you plan your time so effectively that you have more of it?
So what are like the main steps to living like a nomad life with different time zones?
I think the number one thing is being able to maintain your own energy. That energy that you have, like, that contributes to everything. It plays off all the people who come into your life. They'll either be attracted or repelled based on that energy. And so that's where dialing the fuck out of your morning routine. Like, really, like waking up, doing physical activity, taking care of your physical body, and then going forward and taking care of your mental health. So that's where practicing gratitude is really important. That's where a lot of people do like a journaling practice or meditation. But you need to really dial in, I call it back to being, like the things that bring you back into that like really beautiful flow state. And and then actually systemizing them into your day. So that, even if you're going to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning for a meeting with somebody who, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon for them, you still need to bring that energy into that meeting.
Yeah.
So you need to know what you need to do to get into the energy that's going to have that be really effective. Like if it's a client pitch or whatever it is, you need to be able to be there and show up as yourself powerfully. One of the most, if not the most important thing about working in different time zones is really setting a boundary. It's setting the boundary first with yourself and then following through on that boundary, because all sorts of circumstances can come up where you're like, well, I know I said I wasn't going to work past 7, or I know I said I wasn't going to work at 3 o'clock in the morning, but here I find myself doing this.
Yeah.
So normally when people make a boundary and then break it, it's because they have some sort of story about what it means about them if they, for example, aren't willing to get up early and do the work, or they might have a story that the client thinks that they're not serious about it, or that they don't respect the team's time, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So this is where I talk a lot with my clients about enrollment.
Yeah.
So if you live a certain lifestyle, like let's say you're the only one that's a nomad and your whole team is in Germany or America and you're the only one who's in this other time zone, it's really important to enroll people in why you're doing what you're doing, why you're living the way that you're living, and what's in it for them to have a meeting with you at a time that, for example, like if you and I are going to have a meeting and it's 1 o'clock in the morning for me, it's not really that productive for you if I'm not at my best.
Exactly, yeah.
So I can then enroll you in doing it in a time where you're going to get the best from me and I'm going to get the best from you.
Yeah, I think it's really like adding context to it and just help people to understand what is happening in your time zone.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can have a boundary say like, I love myself and I love you. It doesn't have to say fuck you just because it's a boundary.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
It's like that.
I think the other thing that's so important, we talked a little bit about routines and taking care of yourself, which is absolutely paramount, so you can show up in a way that people actually want to work with you. But the other piece that's so important is living by your calendar. So if something's not in my calendar, A, I'll probably forget about it, but B, I don't do it.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that when you have a whole bunch of tasks, it's really easy to get overwhelmed when you have no structure of your day, right? So if you are just kind of doing your tasks higgledy-piggledy and they're not in your calendar, you can get to the end of the day and be like, I was busy all day and I have no idea what the hell I did.
People, I recognize this.
Right? So I actually, I teach my clients a tool called Daily Vitals. And this is where...
I get some decoration.
Yeah. Oh, it's charcoal. Great. Love charcoal in a white dress, but we're flexible because we're digital nomads.
Yes.
But I teach my clients to actually schedule their day the night before. And I teach them also to only schedule 3 to 5 main tasks a day, and that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, so scheduling it religiously in the calendar, following that. If that means you have to set an alarm clock for yourself, a timer. I use Brain FM, I think it's called.
Okay.
It's a music app. It's like AI generated music that's all at the same rhythm, and you can choose like sleep, meditation, productivity.
I don't know that.
Yeah, it's great. They have a free trial, and you can set it for like 30 minutes.
Okay.
So you might work until that set of music is done on this one specific task.
Yeah. I do that just like on Spotify.
Yeah, totally.
But I just know what song it's and then I'm like, okay, it's done.
Yeah.
Well,
because when you give yourself too much time, you just a task. The more time you give yourself, the more time the task takes.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
That's true. So schedule it in, stick to it.
That's so true.
This is literally the most important factor, in my opinion, of being an entrepreneur, period, but especially being a remote entrepreneur, because if you wake up and you're feeling shitty, when you literally do just wake up on the wrong side of the bed, maybe you don't even know what's wrong, and you're just like, ugh, I just feel, ugh. When you're an entrepreneur, if you're not feeling good and you don't show up, nobody's paying you, unless you have some serious passive income stream, nobody's paying you. And so it's not just that you feel shitty, it's that you then feel shitty about feeling shitty. Every single digital nomad needs to build the tools to get themselves unstuck when they're in a funk. I teach something I call the energy refresh, and I always get people to go through sentence by sentence and give themselves, call themselves a nasty name. So if you've been laying in bed all day watching Netflix, what's the bitchiest thing that you would call somebody who just lays in bed and watches Netflix all day? In the travel industry, traveling all over the world with clients, and my partner at the time, he was a coach. So he and I actually started a business together, and he was the coach and I was the everything else.
Okay.
So I was the social media, the PR, I was planning events. I didn't realize at the time I was really happy for him to be the face of the business. I was also very trusting. And I loved this person. He lived with me. I perceived we had a great relationship. I took his word for it. I didn't do all the documentation. And unfortunately, when the relationship had a breakdown, he simply locked me out of everything.
Oh my God.
And I lost the whole business. What I had to actually learn from that was that I was outsourcing my power to other people. And I was making somebody else responsible for my happiness and my success. I then had to go out and actually, I had to say to myself, if I'm really excited about this life and this vision, then I need to make it happen. I think
$1 million question, guys.
$1 million question. I think the thing about being a digital nomad is people see the Instagram photos, they see your life, and while life really is as great for most of us, the point is, a lot of people are living this life and faking being happy, but then there's those of us who do love our lives, but we are still working.
Yeah.
I have so many friends who are like, oh, looks like you had a great time on the beach in Bali. And it's like, well, yes, I did go to the beach for an hour in the morning, and that was amazing. But I also went and sat at my desk and did my work per my calendar, as I do every day.
Last question. Okay, so I always like to give people a space to ask me something. I don't know what she's gonna ask. We haven't rehearsed this, so let's put the phone.
Cool. So what I want to know about you, Nina, is I want to know, what was the moment when you knew that your life needed to change? I think every single person who's a digital nomad has a moment that they can identify where they were like, the life I'm living isn't working for me.
I was working 80 hours a week. I got a burnout and I had no clue to get out of that, and the only way was to resign. Then I had a month off, and when I had a month off, I was so sad. So I knew I wanted to work. I knew I wanted to travel, and I thought that remote working would be a good way to find myself again. Thank you so much, one, for watching this video. Second, for staying all the way through. No, that's a joke. Of course you did. No, anyway, so thank you so much. I will see you next week. If you're watching this and you feel like, hey, I have something to share, please go to digitalnomadsdaily.com. You can watch all the other talks there. I really want to thank you for being here today. Well, we're actually in your pool now. We're going to jump in.
We were arguing over whose pool to go to. It's a hashtag digital nomad problem.
Yeah, that's Ciao.